Barings Bank survived the Napoleonic Wars. It helped finance the Louisiana Purchase. The Queen Mother kept her money there. Then a 28-year-old derivatives trader in Singapore created a secret account called 88888, hid 2 years of losses inside it, and by the time anyone noticed, he had destroyed $1.4 billion, more money than the bank had ever possessed. The oldest bank in Britain lasted 233 years. Nick Leeson ended it in 72 hours. Barings Bank was founded in 1762 by Sir Francis Baring. By the 19th century, it was the most powerful bank in the world. When the United States wanted to purchase the Louisiana Territory from France in 1803, it was Barings that arranged the financing. When the British government needed money to fight Napoleon, it turned to Barings. Entire nations banked their futures on Francis Baring's descendants. 233 years of survival, 2 world wars, the Great Depression, multiple financial panics. Barings had outlasted every crisis the modern world could generate. Nick Leeson was born in 1967 in Watford, England. His father was a plasterer. He left school with O-levels and no university degree. He got a job in banking through the settlements department, the back office, where trades are processed and confirmed. Not glamorous, not the trading floor, the back office. He was good at it, precise, organized, charming. Barings sent him to Jakarta to untangle a settlements mess. He fixed it. They promoted him and sent him to Singapore in 1992, where he became head of futures trading on SIMEX, the Singapore International Monetary Exchange. And here, in the structure of his job, was the mistake that made everything else possible. Nick Leeson was put in charge of both the trading and the settlements for the Singapore operation. In normal banking, these are always separate roles. The trader executes. An independent settlements team confirms and records. Each role checks the other. The separation exists specifically to prevent one person from trading and then hiding their own errors. At Barings Singapore, one person held both jobs. That person was Nick Leeson. In July 1992, one of Leeson's junior traders made a small error, a mistake in a customer order that created a loss of about £20,000. In normal circumstances, this would have been reported immediately. Mistakes happen. The loss would have been absorbed. Instead, Leeson hid it in an account he had access to, an existing error account labeled 88888. The number 8 is considered lucky in Chinese culture, and the account had been opened legitimately for exactly this type of small correction. But instead of reporting the error and clearing the account, Leeson left the loss sitting there and began trading to make it back. He didn't make it back. He made it worse. And then he hid the worse loss in the same account. And then he traded to recover the worse loss. And then the loss got worse still. This is the structure of every trading disaster. A small loss, hidden, an attempt to trade out of it. Bigger losses, bigger attempts. The snowball rolling downhill. What begins as £20,000 becomes 200,000. What becomes 200,000 becomes 2 million. Leeson's official trading, the one Barings management could see, showed consistent profits. Because he was concealing all of his losses in 88,888, the official book showed a star trader generating returns that made his bosses deliriously happy. The happier they were, the more money they sent him to trade with. The more money they sent, the larger the positions he could take. The larger the positions, the larger the losses in 88,888. By the end of 1994, the 88,888 account held losses of approximately £200 million. Leeson's apparent official profits for 1993 and 1994 had been responsible for roughly half of Barings' entire global income. Think about that for a moment. The bank's star trader was generating half its global income, and every pound of it was a lie. The star trader was eating the bank from the inside. January 17th, 1995. At 5:46 in the morning, a 7.2 magnitude earthquake struck the city of Kobe, Japan. The Great Hanshin earthquake killed more than 6,000 people and caused catastrophic destruction to one of Japan's most important port cities. The Japanese stock market fell sharply. The Nikkei 225 index dropped thousands of points over the following days and weeks. For Nick Leeson, this was the worst possible news. He had built enormous long positions in Nikkei futures, betting the Japanese market would rise. He had also sold options in a way that required the market to stay relatively stable. The earthquake did the opposite. The market collapsed. Faced with the prospect of reporting losses that would expose everything, Leeson did what he had always done. He bought more. He doubled his Nikkei position. He tripled it. If the market came back, the recovery would cover the losses. He needed the market to recover. He bought so many Nikkei futures contracts that at his peak, Leeson held positions representing approximately 49% of all open Nikkei futures contracts on Simex and Osaka combined. One trader, one hidden account, half the Japanese futures market. The market did not recover sufficiently. To maintain his positions, Barings had to post enormous margin payments to the exchanges, money to back the size of the bets. In January and February 1995, Barings' London office sent approximately £800 million to Singapore to cover margin calls. The London office believed this was normal business. It was the bank's money being fed directly into the 88888 accounts, mounting losses. By February 1995, the losses in the 88888 account had reached approximately £830 million. Barings' total capital was £470 million. The losses were larger than the bank. The bank just didn't know it yet. In London, executives were proud of their Singapore operation. The margin calls were large, but Leeson's profits justified them. Or so they believed. Nobody asked the question that would have ended everything. If you are making these profits, why do you need this much margin? The profits and the margin payments were contradictory. Nobody connected them. On February 23, 1995, Nick Leeson and his wife Lisa did not show up for work. They had left Singapore the previous night. On Leeson's desk, there was a note. It read, "I'm sorry." For a few hours, nobody knew where he had gone. By the time Barings management in London understood what they were looking at, the full extent of the 88,888 account, the true losses, the magnitude of the positions, it was too late to do anything but try to survive. The Bank of England convened emergency meetings. The governor called the heads of every major British bank to see if anyone would mount a rescue. The positions were too large, the losses too certain. The gap between what Barings owed and what it owned was too enormous for any consortium to bridge. On February 26, 1995, Barings Bank was declared insolvent. The bank that had financed the Louisiana Purchase, that had outlasted Napoleon, that held the Queen Mother's accounts, filed for administration. 233 years of history ended in 72 hours after a note was found on a desk in Singapore. ING, the Dutch banking group, purchased Barings for £1. They also assumed the debts. Leeson was arrested at Frankfurt Airport on March 2nd. He was extradited to Singapore, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of fraud, and was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. He was released early in 1999 after being diagnosed with colon cancer. Multiple Barings executives faced regulatory sanctions. Nobody senior went to prison. The investigation found that the warning signs had been there. An internal audit in 1994 had flagged the dual role as a risk. Nobody had acted on it. Barings did not die because of Nick Leeson alone. It died because everyone who should have been watching chose to believe the profits were real.
If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more finance disasters, market crashes, and billion-dollar mistakes that changed history. The next one is even crazier.